This story is from Lumisette Narratives, a place where unspoken emotions finally find a voice. Some marriages don't end with shouting. They don't end with slammed doors or dramatic goodbyes. Some marriages die quietly, sentence by sentence, truth by truth. This is the story of a marriage that didn't collapse because of hatred, betrayal, or lack of love. It died because no one ever spoke the truth. Maya used to believe that a peaceful marriage was a successful one. There were no arguments in her home, no raised voices, no explosive fights. People admired her. Marriage, they called it calm, stable, mature. What they didn't see was the silence, the kind of silence that doesn't soothe you, the kind that slowly erases you. Maya had learned early in life that silence was safer than honesty. She grew up watching her mother speak carefully, choosing words like fragile glass. Any wrong sentence could shatter the room. So, Maya became skilled at swallowing feelings, at smiling when she was hurt, at nodding when she disagreed. And when she married Daniel, she brought that skill with her. Daniel wasn't a bad man. He was responsible, reliable, respected. He worked long hours, provided well, and believed deeply that love was proven through duty. He believed silence meant contentment. When Maya stopped expressing disappointment, Daniel assumed she was satisfied. When she stopped asking for connection, he assumed she no longer needed it. And when she stopped sharing her inner world, he believed he finally understood her. But the truth was simpler and more dangerous. Maya was disappearing. The truth doesn't vanish when you ignore it. It waits, it settles into the body, into the chest, into the quiet moments. Before sleep, Maya wanted to say so many things. She wanted to say she felt lonely even when he was sitting beside her. She wanted to say that conversations had become logistical, not intimate. She wanted to say she missed being seen. But every time the words rose to her throat, fear followed, fear of conflict, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being told. She was asking for too much, so she told herself stories instead. This is what adulthood looks like. All marriages become quiet. I should be grateful. Daniel, on the other hand, had his own unsaid truths. He felt pressure he never voiced. The weight of being the provider, the fear of failing, the exhaustion of responsibility. He wanted to say he felt unappreciated, that he wished Maya would notice his efforts, that he didn't know how to talk about emotions without feeling weak. But he had learned that men endure. They don't explain pain, they push forward. So Daniel buried his truth beneath routines and responsibilities. Two people, same home, same bed, carrying entire lives of unspoken words. Distance rarely announces itself. It grows quietly. It shows up as shorter conversations, as fewer shared laughs, as evenings spent in separate rooms. Maya noticed it first. She noticed how Daniel no longer asked about her inner world, how his answers became practical instead of curious, how silence replaced affection. She told herself it was temporary. Daniel noticed it too, but differently. He noticed that Maya seemed distant, less enthusiastic, more withdrawn. He told himself she was tired, that life was demanding, that this was normal. Neither of them asked the one question that mattered: are we okay? Because asking that question requires courage. It requires the willingness to hear something uncomfortable, and comfort had become there. Unspoken agreement. Over time, their marriage became a performance. They performed stability for family gatherings. They performed happiness for photographs. They performed partnership in public spaces. But behind closed doors, they lived parallel lives. Maya began to feel invisible, not unseen in a dramatic way, unnoticed in a quiet one. Daniel still loved her, but love without curiosity slowly turns into habit, and habit without intention turns into distance. Maya found herself grieving a relationship that technically still existed. She grieved conversations they never had, affection that faded without explanation, a version of herself that slowly went silent. Daniel, meanwhile, felt something he couldn't name, a dull emptiness, a sense that no matter how much he provided, it was never enough. But instead of asking why, he worked harder, stayed busier, avoided the quiet moments that might expose what he didn't know how to face. Both of them were loyal, both of them were committed, and both of them were deeply alone. The marriage didn't end on a dramatic day. There was no argument, no betrayal uncovered, no final scream. It ended on an ordinary evening. Maya was standing in the kitchen, listening to Daniel talk about his day. She nodded, she smiled, and suddenly, something inside her went still. She realized she felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no longing, just absence. That scared her more than pain ever had, because pain means something still matters. That night, she lay awake next to him, staring at the ceiling, realizing the truth she had avoided for years. She had been emotionally alone for a long time, and Daniel, lying beside her, felt something too. He sensed the distance had solidified into something final, but he didn't ask. Silence had always been safer. When Maya finally spoke, her voice surprised even herself. It wasn't loud, it wasn't angry, it was tired. She told him she felt unseen. She told him she had been lonely for years. She told him she had stopped sharing because it felt pointless. Daniel listened, stunned, not because he didn't care, but because he had no idea. He told her he thought she was content, that he believed silence meant peace, that he didn't know she needed more, and for the first time, both of them realized the same devastating truth. They had been loving each other based on assumptions, not communication, not honesty, not truth. By the time the words were spoken, something fragile had already broken. Love cannot survive indefinitely without truth. They tried to talk more after that. They tried to reconnect, but unspoken years leave scars. Maya couldn't forget how long she had been unheard. Daniel couldn't forget how unaware he had been. There was no villain in their story, no single mistake, just a slow erosion caused by silence. They eventually parted not because they didn't love each other, but because they no longer knew how. Their marriage didn't die from conflict, it died from avoidance. The most dangerous thing in a relationship is not anger, it's unspoken truth. Silence doesn't keep peace, it postpones. Honesty and postponed honesty eventually becomes distance. Many marriages don't fail because people speak too much. They fail because people speak too little. They fail because fear sounds like politeness, because discomfort is mistaken for harmony, because love is assumed instead of expressed. If this story felt familiar, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what truth are you not speaking? What emotion are you silencing to keep the peace? What conversation are you avoiding because it feels uncomfortable? Because love doesn't need perfection, it needs honesty. This story was brought to you by Lumisette Narratives, where silence is gently broken and emotions are given space to breathe. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Lumisette Narratives. More stories are waiting for you, stories about love, truth, healing, and the words we're all afraid to say. Until next time, listen closely. Sometimes the quietest stories matter the most.